This is undoubtedly the iPhone Fold display, and it looks spectacular. We've been hearing for a while now that Apple intended for its first foldable phone to have a creaseless display, and that this ambition might at least be in part why we're yet to see it, as the hardware wasn't ready yet. But now it seems the hardware is ready, as Samsung has shown off just such a panel at Consumer Electronics Show 2026. Images of the display have been released by the likes of Ice Universe, with Samsung showcasing it alongside the Samsung Z Fold 7's panel, so you can plainly see the difference. With the Galaxy Z Fold 7, there's a little but very evident crease in the display, whereas this new screen looks to have no visible wrinkle at all. The existing display used in the Z Fold 7 does a remarkable job of decreasing wrinkle visibility, but importantly, it can still be visible at certain viewing angles. In contrast, Samsung Display boasts that the latest panel, planned for the Z Fold 8, produces seamless text across the fold whichever way you look at it, which is good news for Apple, given that Samsung is the company's principal source of OLED technology. Apple supply chain expert Ming-Chi Kuo revealed in July that Samsung's next-generation Z Fold 8 will employ the same laser-drilled metal display panel as the foldable iPhone, with the component to be provided by South Korean manufacturer Fine M-Tech. The laser-drilled metal plate is crucial for dispersing the tension caused by bending, allowing for the crease-free screen. It's worth mentioning that the panel structure, lamination method, and material process utilized for the foldable iPhone are reported to have been devised by Apple, so we should still expect differences compared to the Z Fold 8's display that was on show here. The same goes for the proportions of the display that Apple utilizes. Samsung's existing Z Fold 7 display is 6.5 inches when closed and 8 inches when open, with a 21:9 aspect ratio when folded and a 20:18 aspect ratio when open. In comparison, speculations claim the iPhone Fold's display will measure in at 5.3 to 5.5 inches when folded and 7.5 to 7.8 inches when open. That will make it squatter and wider than Samsung's taller, narrower form, giving it a 4:3 aspect ratio when open. Samsung cited no rationale for removing the test booth so early on at Consumer Electronics Show. Regardless, Apple's stringent crease-free specifications for its foldable iPhone appear to have increased the bar for both foldable devices. Whether those gains also translate into enhanced long-term durability should become obvious in the coming months. The Z Fold is largely predicted to come this summer, while Apple's foldable iPhone is likely to start full production this year and launch later, around mid-September. But that also indicates any Samsung phones that do use this display could cost significantly more than the company's current foldables. In any event, the iPhone Fold is somewhat likely to land in September, alongside the iPhone 18 range, while the Samsung Galaxy Y Fold could launch in July, so there's likely a good few months before we'll see any phones fitted with this display panel. Next, Apple's foldable iPhone may hit $2,000, leaks and specs so far. Apple's ultra-thin, crease-free foldable may cost over $2,000 and omit Face ID. Apple is officially joining the foldable phone market, and they appear to be taking it seriously. After years of witnessing Samsung and other competitors handle obstacles like crease-prone displays and faulty hinges, Apple feels certain it has overcome these issues and is going all in. The foldable iPhone, projected to appear in late 2026, according to Apple analyst Ming-Chi Kuo, isn't just another iPhone with a bendy screen. According to McRumors, this item is turning out to be one of the most ambitious pieces of innovation Apple has ever attempted. Let's start with the specs. When unfolded, this device might be just 4.5 millimeters thick. To put that in perspective, that would make it Apple's thinnest device by far, beating even the 12.9-inch iPad Pro, which presently holds the title at 5.1 millimeters thick. When folded, it will measure between 9 millimeters and 9.5 millimeters. Think about that for a second. A phone that folds in half and is yet thinner when open than an iPad Pro. But all this cutting-edge gear comes at a price. Ming-Chi Kuo estimates Apple's foldable iPhone will be priced somewhere between $2,000 and $2,500. Bloomberg's Mark Gurman has indicated a similar price range. That's nearly twice as expensive as an iPhone 17 Pro Max, which already costs a small amount. UBS analysts predict Apple will price it between $1,800 and $2,000, and Fubin Research says it will cost $2,400. Whatever the ultimate number, you're looking at something that costs about as much as a quality used automobile. Has the crease problem finally been solved? Here's where Apple might have made a breakthrough. Every foldable phone on the market today has that crease down the middle where the screen folds. It has just been an accepted trade-off of the technology. Not for Apple, evidently. The 2026 foldable iPhone apparently has no visible crease. Apple is claimed to have pushed erasing the crease regardless of expense, and the corporation has created a new material property that makes the crease disappear. The crease has been reported as practically imperceptible when the iPhone is unfolded. This is apparently one of the key reasons Apple took so long to create a foldable iPhone. They struggled to develop a gadget that didn't have a visible crease, but it may be a problem that has now been mostly overcome given the spike in speculations. Their secret weapon is liquid metal for the hinge, which will boost durability. Liquid metal, or amorphous metal, has a structure that is more resistant to bending, deformation, and denting than standard metal. Its structure makes it tougher than titanium alloy, and it has a stainless steel look. Apple might possibly employ a combination of titanium and stainless steel for the hinge. Whatever they're doing, it sounds like they're throwing the kitchen sink into making this thing bulletproof. Display tech that's genuinely fascinating. The screen specs are quite insane. The inner unfolded display will measure in at 7.76 inches with a 2713 by 1920 resolution, and the outside display, when folded, would measure in at 5.49 inches with a 2088 by 1422 resolution and a 4:3 aspect ratio. Another source suggests it will feature a 7.6-inch display size when unfolded. One analyst, Jeff Poo, believes Apple could be working on not one, but two foldable iPhones in various 7.9-inch and 8.3-inch sizes, though no other speculations have backed up this assertion. The foldable iPhone will employ a new sort of display panel made by Samsung, using a unique display technology that Apple has the trademark for. The approach includes incorporating touch sensors directly into the display panel, lowering overall thickness by around 19%. Apple is intending to use ultra-thin glass for the foldable iPhone, with Chinese firm lens technology as Apple's principal glass supplier. Corning is anticipated to offer the raw materials to lens technology, with Apple choosing the supplier due to its expertise in glass hardening and reducing side splits after cutting. In a very shocking decision, Apple is eliminating Face ID for this gadget. Instead, the foldable iPhone will employ Touch ID for authentication, with the Touch ID sensor incorporated into a side button on the device. It is simple if you think about it. There isn't enough space in the foldable iPhone for the Face ID components. Apple is stressing the thinness of the iPhone Fold, and many design decisions have been taken to lower the overall thickness of the chassis. Since the iPhone Fold is expected to be roughly the same size as the iPad mini when it's unfurled, it makes some sense for it to have an iPad mini-like Touch ID button, and this may be an interesting feature for users. The ID is instructive, but poses issues if you're wearing a mask or sleeping down. The camera setup is intriguing. The foldable iPhone could contain an under-display camera for the interior of the device, with a single hole punch camera for the exterior when it's folded up. The under-display camera is not likely to support Face ID, with Apple instead adopting Touch ID. Here's the kicker. The camera could boast a 24-megapixel resolution, which would be an industry first. Some Android devices have under-display cameras, but not at that high quality. For the rear cameras, the foldable iPhone rear camera configuration will have a main lens and an ultra-wide lens with no telephoto lens. Rumors say that both lenses will be 48 megapixels. All in all, the foldable iPhone is believed to have 4 total cameras. The outer display of the foldable iPhone, which you see when it is folded, could contain a hole punch camera, and the inside display will feature an under-display camera. The foldable iPhone will feature Apple's A20 chip, developed on TSMC 2nm technology. The shift to 2nm will allow for more transistors in each chip, which will enhance performance. The A20 chips might be up to 15% faster and 30% more efficient than A19 chips. Apple is also rumored to adopt TSMC wafer-level multi-chip module chip packaging technology. Wafer-level multi-chip module will see RAM directly integrated on the chip's wafer with the CPU, TPU, and neural engine. Incorporating RAM in this manner could deliver speedier performance for overall tasks and Apple Intelligence, better thermal management, and improved Apple Intelligence. Apple's foldable iPhone is already generating enthusiasm. An almost undetectable seam, an unbelievably thin design, under-display cameras at unparalleled resolution, and battery life that doesn't make you want to chuck the thing out a window. But let's be real. At $2,000 plus, this is a device for early adopters with deep resources. Apple is planning to use high-density battery cells for the foldable iPhone. Apple's foldable iPhone won't have a SIM slot and will instead use eSIM, and Apple is only testing variations of black and white for the foldable iPhone, though Apple could opt to include other colors prior to when the device enters mass production. So, if you enjoyed this video, please don't forget to give it a thumbs up and subscribe to our channel for more exciting tech news and updates. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.